There are prisons that break your body. There are prisons that break your spirit. And then there are the places on this list. Places where the word punishment is a gentle understatement. Places where the guards don't patrol, they fortify. You have seen movies about prison. The shanks, the riots, the isolation. But Hollywood leaves out the humidity that rots your bones, the starvation that turns men into animals, the warden who does not care if you live or die as long as you never leave. Today we are not talking about your local county jail. We are descending into the 9 circles of hell, disguised as concrete and steel, from the jungles of Latin America to the frozen gulag wastelands of Russia. These are the 10 most dangerous prisons in the world. And number 1 will haunt you for weeks. At number 10, we enter the infamous La Modelo in Bogotá, Colombia. On paper, it is a prison. In reality, it is a feudal kingdom. The Colombian government technically runs the walls, but inside those walls, the inmates run the economy. La Modelo is famous for 2 things: corruption and autonomy. If you have money on the outside, you live like a king on the inside. Private cells with air conditioning, flat-screen televisions, prostitutes smuggled in during visiting hours. But if you are poor, you are sleeping in a hallway with 200 other men, standing up because there is no room to lie down. The danger here is not the guards, it is the lack of them. La Modelo is a self-policing city. The official prison gangs, like Los Priscos, act as the police. They decide who lives and who dies. If you steal a piece of bread, they do not call a judge. They cut your hands. In 2020, a riot erupted that lasted 36 hours. When the smoke cleared, 23 inmates were decapitated. The danger level at La Modelo is not the violence itself. It is the unpredictability. It is calm until it explodes. And when it explodes, nobody is coming to save you. What makes La Modelo truly terrifying is the normalization of horror. Inmates have built their own economy inside the walls. They have restaurants. They have brothels. They have a currency system based on cigarettes and cell phone minutes. The guards stand at the perimeter and collect their bribes. They do not enter the cell blocks unless absolutely necessary. This means that justice inside La Modelo is not written in any law book. Justice is whatever the gang leader decides it is. A stolen blanket, a disrespectful glance, a debt unpaid. These are death sentences. And the executions happen in broad daylight, in full view of hundreds of witnesses, because the witnesses know that looking away is the only way to survive. The overcrowding is beyond comprehension. La Modelo was built for 2,500 men. It holds over 11,000. There is no room to sleep horizontally. Men take shifts. 8 hours standing, 8 hours sitting on a bucket, 8 hours lying in a space the size of a coffin. The toilets overflow constantly. Disease spreads like wildfire: tuberculosis, dengue fever, scabies. The infirmary has no medicine. It has a bucket of expired antibiotics and a nurse who stopped showing up 3 years ago. In La Modelo, you do not die from violence. Most of the time, you die from infection. A small cut on your foot becomes gangrene within a week. A cough becomes pneumonia within a month. The prison does not kill you. It simply refuses to keep you alive. Number 9. Kwang Central Prison, Bangkok, Thailand. From Colombia, we fly to the humid hell of Bangkok, Thailand. You might know it as the Bangkok Hilton, but the inmates call it something else: the Big Tiger. Kwang is not for thieves. It is not for drug users. It is for the worst of the worst. Death row. Life sentences. Men who have nothing left to lose. The first thing you notice is the chains. In most Western prisons, chains are for transport. In Kwang, foreign inmates, especially Westerners, are kept in shackles that connect their ankles to a heavy steel ball. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For years, the heat is weaponized. It reaches 40 degrees Celsius with 90% humidity. The cells are unventilated concrete boxes. Inmates sleep on a sloped floor, so that if they roll off their thin mat, they land in the central toilet drain. The stench is indescribable. A mixture of sweat, feces, and the sweet smell of rotting flesh from men whose bedsores have eaten down to the bone. There is no air conditioning. There are no fans. There are no windows that open. The concrete absorbs the heat all day and radiates it back all night. Sleep is impossible. Men go insane from the heat alone. But the true danger is the death row coffin. When you are sentenced to death in Thailand, You are moved to a specific row. Your legs are chained permanently, you wait, and then one morning, you are taken to a special chamber where a 308 caliber rifle fires a bullet into the back of your skull. There is no warning. There is no final meal. There is no priest unless you have the money to bribe a guard to bring one. You wake up one day and they drag you to the execution room and then you are gone. What makes Kwang dangerous is the hopelessness. There is no rehabilitation. There is no education program. There is no counselor who pretends to care. There is only waiting to rot or waiting to die. The long-term inmates, the ones serving life sentences for drug trafficking, have been there for 30 years. They have watched their families age and die on the outside. They have watched their children grow up and have children of their own. They have watched the world change through a tiny slit in a concrete wall, and they know they will never touch it again. That slow, grinding despair is worse than any beating. It breaks your mind before your body gives out. In Kwang, suicide is not punished. Number 8. Portland Prison, Dorset, England. Now you might look at England and think, how bad can it be? Do not let the polite accents fool you. Portland Prison, built in 1848, is a Victorian nightmare that refuses to die. Portland is a Category C men's prison, which sounds medium security, but it is the culture that makes it lethal. Portland is known as the sex offender capital of the UK prison system. It houses a massive population of vulnerable prisoners, child molesters, pedophiles, men that even other criminals despise. Here is the danger. The notorious inmates, violent gang members and murderers are mixed with the vulnerable prisoners. In most systems, they segregate them. At Portland, they barely try. In 2021, a convicted murderer walked into the cell of a convicted pedophile and beat him to death with a padlock in a sock. The guards did not arrive for 11 minutes. That is an eternity when a man is hitting your skull with a metal lock wrapped in fabric. The violence is relentless. Stabbings happen weekly. The jail is chronically understaffed. Officers are quitting because they are outnumbered 100 to 1. Portland is dangerous because it is forgotten. The UK government has neglected it for decades, and the inmates have created a lawless vacuum inside a Victorian tomb. The architecture itself is a weapon. Portland was built in the 19th century, when prison design was about punishment, not safety. The corridors are narrow. The sightlines are poor. Guards cannot see around corners. Inmates hide in blind spots and ambush anyone who walks past. The cell doors are old iron, rusted, with locks that have not been replaced since the 1970s. In a riot, those doors do not hold. In 2016, a riot tore through 3 wings. Inmates set fire to mattresses. The smoke was so thick that firefighters could not enter for 6 hours. By the time the smoke cleared, the interior of the prison looked like a bombed-out war zone. What makes Portland truly dangerous is the hierarchy. In most prisons, the hierarchy is based on respect or power. At Portland, the hierarchy is based on the crime you committed. Murderers are at the top. They are the kings. Rapists and child molesters are at the bottom. They are the prey. If you are a vulnerable prisoner, you spend every waking moment terrified. You do not sleep. You do not eat. You do not shower unless 3 other vulnerable prisoners stand guard. And even then, you are not safe. The murderers have nothing to lose. They are already serving life sentences. Killing a child molester does not add time to their sentence. It adds status. It makes them heroes to the other violent inmates. So they hunt. And the guards let them. Number 7, Guantanamo Bay. Cuba, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Guantanamo Bay. But forget the politics for a moment. Forget the debates about torture. Look at the physical prison. Camp 7 does not exist on official maps. It is a secret prison inside a prison. This is where the high-value detainees go. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the masterminds of September 11th. What makes Gitmo dangerous is not the inmate-on-inmate violence. There is almost none. They are kept in solitary isolation. No, the danger is psychological demolition. Inmates in Camp 7 are held in clean cells. They get books, a gym, medical care. That sounds nice, right? Wrong. They have been there for over 20 years without trial. They have no sentence. They have no release date. They are legally ghosts. Psychologists call this forever prisoner syndrome. Men have gone completely catatonic. They stop speaking. They stop eating. They smear feces on the walls just to feel something. There is a man there who has not seen the sun in 14 years. He lives in a 6 by 8 foot cell. He knows he will die in that cell. He just does not know when. That slow ticking clock of eternity is a weapon more brutal than any shank. The isolation is total. Inmates are not allowed to speak to each other. They are fed through a slot in the door. They are exercised alone in a concrete cage, the size of a parking space. They have no human contact except for the guards who wear masks and do not speak. Some inmates have forgotten how to talk. Their vocal cords have atrophied from disuse. When they try to speak, only a rasping whisper comes out. The guards call it the ghost noise. And then there is the force feeding. Several inmates have gone on hunger strikes not to die, but to protest their indefinite detention. The response from the military is to strap them to a chair, shove a tube down their nose into their stomach, and pump in liquid nutrients. It is painful. It is humiliating, and it happens twice a day, every day, for years. The inmates vomit. They choke. They bleed from the nose, and the guards keep pumping. Guantanamo is not dangerous because of what the inmates do to each other. It is dangerous because of what the system does to the human mind. It erases you from the inside out. Number 6. Karaj Prison, Tehran, Iran. We leave Cuba for the Middle East. Iran's Karaj Prison, officially known as Rajai Shar, is not a prison. It is a death factory. Karaj holds 3 types of people: common criminals, drug traffickers, and political prisoners. If you are a journalist, a woman protesting the hijab laws, or a dual citizen, this is where you end up. The danger here is the judicial system. In the West, you have a trial. In Karaj, show trials last 15 minutes. The judge asks your name, reads a charge, and says death. Executions happen at dawn. But here they use a crane. They tie a rope around your neck, hook it to a construction crane, and lift you into the air. It is called the flying. It takes 20 minutes to die from strangulation. In 2019, they executed 19 political prisoners in a single night. The danger at Karaj is not gangs. It is not rape. It is the state. The state is the gang, and the currency is your confession, beaten out of you in the basement of the intelligence ministry next door. The interrogation wing is a separate building connected to the prison by an underground tunnel. You are taken there in the middle of the night. You are stripped naked. You are chained to a hook on the ceiling so that your toes barely touch the ground. Then the questions begin. Did you attend the protest? Did you speak to a foreign journalist? Did you post on social media? If you say no, they beat you. If you say yes, they beat you harder. There is no right answer. There is only pain. Eventually, you say whatever they want you to say. You confess to being a spy. You confess to plotting against the regime. You confess to things you have never heard of. And then they take that confession to a judge who has already decided that you will die. The cells on death row are tiny, 6 feet by 6 feet, a concrete slab for a bed, a hole in the floor for a toilet, no window, no light except a single bulb that burns 24 hours a day. You wait. You wait for the morning when the guards come for you. You hear their boots in the hallway. You hear the keys jingling, and you know that this might be your last morning. Some men wait for years. Some wait for weeks. There is no pattern. There is no logic. There is only the endless, crushing uncertainty. In Karaj, hope is the cruelest punishment of all. Because hope makes you believe that tomorrow might be different. And tomorrow is always the same. Number 5, Black Dolphin Prison. Soliletsk, Russia. We travel north to Russia. Siberia. This is not a place for criminals. This is a place for monsters. Black Dolphin. The name sounds almost friendly. It is not. Black Dolphin is a special regime colony. This is where Russia sends cannibals, serial killers, and terrorists, men who have killed 10, 20, 50 people. Here is how you enter. You get off the bus. You walk 50 meters. There are 10 doors. Each door weighs 500 pounds. They lock behind you. You never see the sky again. Inmates never see another inmate face to face. When they move from their cell to the shower, they walk hunched over with a guard escort. They are not allowed to stand up straight. Why? Because standing up straight implies defiance. The danger at Black Dolphin is the complete annihilation of the human soul. Inmates are locked in 15 by 7 foot cells for 23 hours a day. The lights never turn off, ever. There is no night. There is no darkness. There is no rest for the eyes. The human body is not designed to live under constant light. It breaks down. Melatonin production stops. Sleep cycles fragment. Hallucinations begin. Men see things that are not there. They hear voices. They talk to imaginary people. And the brutality. If you attack a guard, they do not send you to solitary. They strap you to a metal bed frame in the medical unit. They leave you there for months. You eat through a straw. You defecate where you lie. Your muscles atrophy. Your joints lock up. When they finally release you, you cannot walk. You have to learn how to use your legs again. Some men never do. They spend the rest of their sentence crawling. Black Dolphin is designed to erase you, not to punish you, not to reform you, to erase you. Your name becomes a number. Your face becomes a blur. Your history becomes irrelevant. The only thing that matters is that you are here and you will never leave. The prison has a museum in the administration building. It contains the artwork of the inmates, drawings, paintings, wood carvings. They are beautiful. They are heartbreaking. They are the only proof that these men were ever human. And they sit behind glass in a building that the inmates will never see, while the men who made them rot in cells where the lights never turn off. Number 4. Plateau Prison, Goma. Democratic Republic of the Congo, we go to the heart of darkness. The Democratic Republic of the Congo. Plateau Prison. This is the only prison on this list where the environment is the primary executioner. Plateau is built on a swamp. It rains 300 days a year. The cells have no roofs. The ground is liquid mud. Inmates sleep standing up, tying themselves to the rafters so they do not drown in their sleep. The capacity is 500. The population is 4,000. Disease is the warden here. Malaria, tuberculosis, dysentery, they do not have a doctor. They have a guy with a bucket of chlorine. The real danger is the lack of food. The Congo government gives the prison 50 cents per inmate per day. 50 cents to eat. So the inmates are starving to death, literally. In 2019, a journalist snuck in. He watched a man die of hunger at 3 in the afternoon. By 5 o'clock, the other inmates had stripped the flesh from his bones because they had not eaten in a week. Plateau is dangerous because there are no rules, none. You are thrown into a pit of starving, desperate, diseased men. The guards do not go inside the walls. They stand on the outside and throw in food like feeding lions. The hierarchy in Plateau is simple. The strongest eat, the weakest die. There is no gang affiliation. There is no political protection. There is only muscle and hunger. If you are small or old or sick, you are dead. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today, the weak are eaten. Not metaphorically. Literally, cannibalism is not a crime in Plateau. It is survival. The prison administration knows this. They do nothing to stop it. They cannot. There are 4,000 inmates and 20 guards. The guards do not enter the gates. They stay in their tower and watch through binoculars. They take notes. They write reports. They do not intervene the children. That is the worst part. Plateau holds juveniles, boys as young as 12, accused of petty theft or joining rebel militias. They are thrown into the same pens as the adults. They last 3 days, maybe 4. Then they disappear. Their bodies are never found. The mud swallows them. Plateau is not a prison. It is a slaughterhouse. And the world does not care because the victims are poor and black and far away. That is the ugliest truth of all. We only care about prisons when they hold people who look like us. Plateau holds nobody, so nobody comes to save them. Number 3. La Sabana, San Juan de los Morros, Venezuela. Venezuela is collapsing. The economy is gone. The police are gone. And in that vacuum, La Sabana prison has become a sovereign nation. This is the most heavily armed prison in the world. Not the guards. The inmates. La Sabana is run by a cartel called El Tren de Aragua. They have smuggled in machine guns, grenades, and rocket launchers. The Venezuelan government gave up trying to control it years ago. They just surrounded the perimeter with the army to stop the inmates from leaving. But inside it is a city. They have a nightclub. They have a zoo with tigers. They have a swimming pool. But paradise is a lie. To stay in the nice part of La Sabana, you have to work for the cartel. If you refuse or if you are a rival, you go to El Callejón, the alley. El Callejón is a hallway where they perform executions. They use machetes. It takes a long time. The danger level here is 11 out of 10 because the guards do not just ignore the violence. They are employees of the cartel. The cops take bribes to let the cartel do whatever they want. La Sabana is a warning. It shows what happens when the state completely withdraws. There are no laws inside those walls. There is only the will of El Tren de Aragua, and the will of El Tren de Aragua is absolute. They decide who lives. They decide who dies. They decide who eats and who starves. They have a courtroom where they settle disputes between inmates. The judge is a convicted murderer serving 4 life sentences. The jury is made up of cartel soldiers. The verdict is always guilty. The sentence is always death. There are no appeals. The outside world knows about La Sabana. The Venezuelan government knows. The United Nations knows. Nobody does anything because doing something would require sending soldiers into a prison where the inmates have rocket launchers. The army surrounds the prison, but they do not enter. They wait, they watch, they collect their bribes, and inside the walls a nightmare continues uninterrupted. Children are born in La Sabana. Women are smuggled in and kept as sex slaves. Men are dismembered in El Callejon, while music plays from the nightclub next door. La Sabana is not a prison. It is a failed state inside a failed state. And it is growing. Number 2. Pedro Juan Caballero, Amambay, Paraguay. Number 2 is a place so secret, so off the books, that the United Nations refuses to acknowledge it exists. Pedro Juan Caballero. It is a prison designed for one purpose: to kill you slowly. This prison has a containment module. It is a concrete box inside a concrete box. The inner box is exactly 5 feet tall. You cannot stand up. It is 4 feet wide. You cannot lie down flat. You have to curl into a fetal position. The door is solid steel. There is no window. There is no light. There is a hole in the floor for a toilet. The temperature inside reaches 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Inmates are kept here for 6 months. Why is this number 2 on the list? Because of the decapitations. In Pedro Juan Caballero, the main gang is the clan Rotella. They do not stab you. They use a bandsaw from the workshop. In 2021, the police raided a cell. They found 3 heads in a bucket. The bodies were found in the latrine pit. The guards just shrugged. This is a prison where the warden does not control the keys. The hitman does. You are not a prisoner here. You are a victim waiting for your turn. The containment module is worse than death. Inmates who survive it come out broken. They cannot walk upright. They have developed a permanent hunch. Their eyes cannot tolerate light. They scream at shadows. They flinch at sudden noises. 6 months in a box that is too small to stand or lie down. 6 months of darkness and heat and the smell of your own waste. 6 months of listening to your own heartbeat and wondering if anyone remembers you exist. The human mind is not designed for that. It cracks, it shatters. And what crawls out of the containment module is not a person anymore. It is an animal. A frightened, vicious animal that will kill to avoid going back. The rest of the prison is not much better. Pedro Juan Caballero is run by the clan Rotella with an iron fist. They control the drug trade inside the walls. They control the food distribution. They control access to the medical unit. If you want to see a doctor, you pay the clan Rotella. If you want to send a letter to your family, you pay the clan Rotella. If you want to live through the night, you pay the clan Rotella. And if you cannot pay, you are taken to the workshop. The bandsaw is always oiled. The blades are always sharp. The clan Rotella does not waste bullets. Bullets are expensive. Bandsaw blades are cheap. And the sound of a human skull being cut in half is, according to former inmates, unforgettable. It haunts your dreams. It follows you into the daylight. It never stops echoing. Number 1, CECOT, San Vicente, El Salvador. We have reached number 1, the most dangerous prison in the world. But it does not look dangerous, does it? It looks clean. It looks organized. This is CECOT, the Center for the Confinement of Terrorism, El Salvador. President Nayib Bukele built this to hold the gangs that turned his country into the murder capital of the world. CECOT holds 40,000 of the most violent men ever born. These are men who dismembered rivals with chainsaws, men who killed children, men who cannot be rehabilitated. Here is why CECOT is the most dangerous. It is not the violence inside. There is almost none. The violence is suppressed by total absolute military control. Look at the cells. Metal doors with a 4-inch slot. 100 men per cell, no beds, no mats. They sleep on concrete like sardines. They are allowed 30 minutes outside per day. They are marched to the yard in silence. If they speak, they are beaten. There are no guards inside the cell blocks. The guards are in fortified pillboxes with sniper rifles. They control the inmates with sound cannons and electrified floors. But the real danger is the despair. CECOT is a one-way door. Nobody has ever left. There is no parole. There is no early release. You will die in that white concrete box. In 2023, a riot broke out in Module 7. The guards did not go in. They turned off the oxygen circulation. They closed the vents. Within 4 hours, 27 inmates had suffocated to death. The guards called it Tuesday. CECOT is the most dangerous prison because it has weaponized silence. It has taken the chaos of places like La Sabana and frozen it into a state of permanent terror. The inmates are not reforming. They are hibernating. And if that cage ever breaks open, 40,000 of the world's worst killers will walk the streets. The design of CECOT is genius in its cruelty. The entire prison is a single massive building divided into modules. Each module holds 800 inmates in 8 cells of 100 men each. The cells are stacked too high. The upper cells have no railings. Inmates have fallen to their deaths. The guards do not investigate. They call the families and say accident. The families know better. But the families cannot do anything. In El Salvador, the gangs killed their sons. Now the state has killed them again. There is no justice. There is only CECOT. The inmates eat a paste made from beans and rice. It is nutritionally complete. It tastes like wet cardboard. They eat it twice a day through the slot in the door. They never see the person feeding them. They never speak to another human being except during their 30 minutes in the yard. And even then, they are not allowed to speak. The yard is a concrete pen with a roof of steel mesh. The sun comes through in stripes. The inmates stand in the stripes. They do not move. They do not look at each other. They stare at the ground and wait for the 30 minutes to end. Then they march back to their cells. Then they wait for tomorrow. Then they wait for the day after that. Then they wait to die. The psychological effects are already visible. Inmates who have been in CECOT for 2 years have lost the ability to make eye contact. They have lost the ability to smile. They have lost the ability to cry. Their faces are masks, empty, blank. The guards say they look like zombies. The psychologists say they look like men who have given up. There is no difference. CECOT is not a prison. It is a machine for turning human beings into vegetables, and it is working perfectly. We look at these places, these concrete tombs, and we ask ourselves, do they make us safer? Or do they just make us feel better? The men in Black Dolphin will never see a tree again. The men in CECOT will never hug their mothers. The men in Plateau will starve long before their sentence is up. These are the 10 most dangerous prisons in the world. And the scariest part is that they are all full. The world keeps producing men who need cages like these. The only question is what kind of cage we will build next. There is a story they tell in Black Dolphin. An old inmate, a man who had been there for 30 years, was asked what he missed most. He did not say freedom. He did not say his family. He said, "I miss the rain. I miss the feeling of rain on my face. I have not felt rain in 30 years. The guards laughed, but the other inmates did not. They understood, because in a place where the lights never turn off and the doors never open, rain is a memory, and memories are the only thing they have left. In CECOT there is no rain. The roof is solid concrete. The inmates will never feel rain again. They will never feel wind. They will never feel grass under their feet. They will never feel the warmth of another human being who is not trying to hurt them. They will live and die in a white concrete box, surrounded by 40,000 other men, who are also living and dying in white concrete boxes. And the world will go on outside. The sun will rise. The rain will fall. Children will laugh. And 40,000 men will never see any of it. That is the true danger of these prisons. Not the violence, not the death, the erasure. The way they take a human being and remove everything that makes life worth living. The way they turn a man into a number and then turn that number into a ghost. The way they make you forget that the people inside those walls were once children, once loved, once dreamed. The most dangerous prisons in the world do not just hold dangerous men. They create them, and then they destroy them. And then they fill up again, and the cycle never ends. Sleep well.